Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls.
It's more than practical.
Here come the girls.
Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey,
Welcome.
hey.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Olmstead.
I am Dr. Natasha Wilson. And Robyn just said who we are.
And so that's who we are. That's who we're going to be for the next hour. So join us and be who you are.
Yes.
We are coming to you live from two different parts of the world. I am currently in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
And I
Natasha
am in Brisbane, Queensland, which is in Australia. Sipping
and it's very early there.
Golden Girls mug.
Nice.
You know, see what it says? You know, it says, thank me for being your friend.
Amen, sister. So we're two girls on two different sides of the world who believe that everything is metaphysical, and we're here to explore that with you, including that the Tao of the Golden Girls, because it's all spiritual, right?
Absolutely. And all of those sisters are now in the realm of spirit. They're now in the ancestral realm. And I still watch the show. I love it.
It is a good show.
Yeah.
Betty White went to my high school and my elementary school, actually. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Right?
That is so cool. That's so cool.
She just seems like she was such a special woman.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
She was, clearly. Yeah.
I mean, we all are, but it's a whole different level. There are few people who like you really feel like, oh, I wish they were my friend, or they are my friend, or you get that sense from them, though, right?
No, I mean, literally, this show would be on when I came home from school, and I swear, like, this was what I want. This is what I aspire. You know how some people, they like grew up and they wanted to like be married and have a partner and kids. I wanted to grow up and live with them. Like, I wanted to live with them. I was like, this is the best setup in life. So.
Was there like one golden girl you related to more than another?
Oddly, I feel like probably Dorothy, but there's a part, like, I think that the brilliance of that show is like there's a little bit of each of these characters, like in all of us, right? So like I definitely feel like I liked Dorothy a lot, and I aspired to be like a Blanche, but never got there. And I think there's a part of me that can be very like absent-minded at times, which reminds me a lot of Rose. And I think in a couple years, I will be Sophia.
Got you.
What about you?
Well, I wasn't that into it, but I would have to say right off the bat, I always felt more like, which one was it? I want to say Maud, but that's not her name.
Yeah, that's Dorothy.
Dorothy, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I said too. I think I'm really, and I have a pair of Golden Girl earrings, actually. Like there's the same picture of the Golden Girls on the earring. I really am a Golden Girls fan.
Wow. So it's
No,
a real
seriously.
thing. And look at you, you're all iconed up with Frida Kahlo as well. It's like,
Like, yeah,
wow.
surrounded in the love of like talented, brilliant, like women. Absolutely. Feels
Yeah.
good, actually. I need it.
And let me just say for the record, even though we are girls behaving metaphysically, that doesn't mean we don't like boys and boys are allowed to play along with us. It just is who we are.
Mhm.
And boys, men, you know, she, they, all are welcome. So that's
They
the
are
story
welcome.
here.
They're
They are
welcome to
welcome.
play.
So one of the ways we like to play is, there's so many things about being metaphysical. Like, what is that? We'll explore some of that on the show always. But one of the things that metaphysical people are, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, coined with doing, like all the woo-woo stuff, like
Mm.
saging the buildings and, you know, um, looking for signs. So
Mm.
we like to do that because there are signs out there, and so sometimes we decide which way to go based on the signs. And so we like to start our show by pulling a card, and that's what we're gonna do.
Mm.
So we have many cards to choose from. What do you have there?
I just have the same Cosmic Dancer. I have other cards, but they're not in this room. So I only have the Cosmic Dancer cards and my regular tarot deck. So what do you have? You probably have more
I have
imaginative.
the Sacred Traveler cards, and I have medicine cards, and I have some other cards, but I'm feeling medicine cards today. I don't know why.
I
We've
don't know. I
never,
was about to say that too, actually.
there we
Nice.
go. We are
Nice.
in sync. We are synced up, sister. So, for those of you that don't know, the medicine cards are from the Native American tradition, and they go with that every animal symbolizes something, basically. And generally, it's taken from the traits of the animal, and it's just in the Native American culture, they bring everything into play with the land and the animals and all of that, and believe that everything has something to teach us. So we're
Yeah.
going to see what we learned today.
And often it's called medicine. So every animal
Right.
represents a particular type of medicine for your soul, depending on where you are in your journey.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Tell me when to stop.
Okay. You started?
I started shuffling.
Oh, okay. Stop.
Okay. All right. I pulled the blank card, which I meant to take out of here. But on the other side where I turned it over, I have the owl card.
Okay. What's
An
the medicine of?
owl is, I believe it's wisdom. So let me just see what it says about owl while we're here. As you can see, we do none of this. This is earlier. This is all live. So I will look for owl. But I do believe it's wisdom, and that is interesting because we do hold so much wisdom. Anyway, big lie that I said wisdom. The card says deception. So
Nice.
owl, it says owl medicine is symbolically associated with clairvoyance, astral projection, and magic, both black and white. Owl is called night eagle on several medicine wheels used by meridian teachers. Traditionally, owl sits in the east, the place of illumination. Since time immemorial, humanity has been afraid of the night, the dark, and the unseen, waiting fearfully for the first crack of morning light. Conversely, night is owl's friend. Owl hunts its prey at night. Not only can owls see in the dark It can accurately pinpoint and identify any sound.
Mm.
It does talk about wisdom, that Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, had a companion owl on her shoulder, which revealed unseen truths to her. Al
Mm.
had the ability to light up Athena's blind side, enabling her to speak the whole truth as opposed to only half. Hold on. If I know there's a place where it says, if Al is your personal medicine, no one can deceive you about what they are doing, no matter how they try to disguise or hide it from you. You may be a little frightening to be around. Oh, sister. That could be me. That could be talking about me. Since so many people have ulterior motives which you see right through. If you are unaware of your medicine power, you may take your keen insights and abilities for granted. Others never do. You may frighten them and reflect their blindness, for you cannot. You may frighten them and reflect their blindness, but you cannot be fooled. Owl medicine people know more about individuals' inner life than the person knows about herself or himself. If you've pulled the owl card, you are being asked to use your powers of keen, silent observation to intuit some life situation. Owl is befriending you and aiding you in seeing the total truth. Owl can bring you messages in the night through dreams or meditation. Pay attention to the signals and omens. The truth always brings further enlightenment.
Mm.
Oh, well, it's very interesting. I think that I do think I had my initial medicine card reading like so many years ago, and I do think that owl is one of my animals, and I can only remember two that were on there, really. But I do think that that is my story in a lot of
Mm.
ways. I think that a lot of people, a lot of times people who don't have pure intentions tend to stay away from me because
Mm.
I I just feel like I know that. You know what I mean? Like I can't even relate on a surface level because
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like the vibration doesn't match. So I
Mm.
feel like that's very true that
Mm.
that happens. That happens.
Mm. Mm.
What are you thinking?
I'm just sitting with it. It actually was a lot of information there.
Mm,
And I don't know, like I'm just sitting with like there was a part in what you read that said something like people may stay away from you or be frightened of you because you kind of can see you can kind of see through them or something like that.
yeah.
And I don't know, I was thinking about, I mean, I feel like it's kind of what I do for a living to a certain extent, is like I'm this like like a very silent observer of people.
Mhm.
I listen really deeply. And I just, I don't know. It's interesting because like I'm forming this thing is still forming in my heart and in my head, because as much as I feel sometimes like I can see into people, sometimes like I can't, I don't remember to use that same skill or whatever it is, wisdom, when something is moving through my own self. But
Yeah.
there's something about that, like I feel like that the honesty piece was like what was really resonating with me. Like, anyways, I'm just coming through what I feel like was a spiritual crisis that it took a while for me to see that that is what was going on for me. But how I'm so keenly aware of how to notice that in others, and to support them through it, and to support them through it in a certain way, through a process of deep honesty. But yeah, it was just like, in my own, it took a while for me. I feel like I'm still kind of coming through this. I don't know, what I've learned is I'm dealing with what is clinically considered bereavement overload. And it's, when you've had so many losses, usually people that you love who are no longer in this realm. But it's also other kinds of losses, like a loss of ideas, or and like cherished ideas that you find aren't like true. Like maybe these things that I romanticize about my family, I had to come to terms with that just they weren't true. These things weren't true. And compounded with like the loss of my nephew, the loss of my grandma, like was bereavement overload, right? And then starting this additional work that I took on, which sort of was like leading to a bit of burnout. So the combination of things, I think, really sent me into, some would say, a mental health crisis, but for me, I realized like it was a deeply spiritual. Like I had to remember. It took a while for me to remember, like, not that God is in me, but that I'm in God. Like I'm in God. And when I remember that, I feel a sense of serenity and peace. But I don't always remember that. I don't remember I'm in the heart and mind of God, So anyways, yeah.
Well, and I think it's interesting that it says to, if you've pulled this card today, you're being asked to. I love it that it tells you what you're being asked to, and it's something about something about listening to your dreams, and what the messages bring you during the night. And I don't know about you, but I've been dreaming like crazy. Like there, I go in these phases, and it's usually like these short little intervals that I sleep. Like I go to bed and I wake up thinking, okay, it must be, 6 a.m, and it's like 2. I'm like, what the hell? Because I feel like I've been sleeping and I've had these dreams, and it's time. It's been a full night. I've put in a full night's work. But yeah, and I don't remember exactly what I was dreaming last night, but I remember there was a lot to it, like a crazy amount to it, and a crazy amount of people, and people from all over my life, and so, yeah, it makes me think about like when I used to write down my dreams when I woke up and things like that, to really go back and look at them, and see what the messages were or are. So how are we taking Al into our week with us?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just taking that first of all, I'm a little jealous that you're sleeping at all, because what made me think about owl medicine was the fact that my daughters all of a sudden don't want to sleep in their own beds for, like, I don't know what's going on. Like every night they're like in my bed. This morning I woke up and the dog was in the middle of the bed. Alexis, my baby, the big girl's at the foot of the bed, and my baby was on the other side. And I was just like crunched up in this little tiny spot in my big gigantic king bed. So I'm not getting any sleep, let alone dreams. But I do remember like something in the card was saying like humanity, we've been scared for the dark. And I think my kids are going through something with the dark right now. But yeah, I don't know. I think what I'm taking for the week is the piece around the deception, but not so much about being deceived by others, but being deceived by the small self, the ego self, that I think Eckhart Tolle talks about it as the voice in the head, right? The ego self, the limited self, that when I forget that I am in God, which helps me remember and feel like in my body that there is a divine order and that I'm in that. So it's all right. But when I'm not remembering that, because that deceptive part of the mind that we evolved for our survival as a physical species, like I feel like that's that's how I'm gonna take owl medicine this week, is to be more aware of when I am not listening to, but I have forgotten the sound of the divine. So, which I think, whatever that limited ego self is always deceptive. It's always deceptive. It never actually tells you the truth about existence. So,
right. And when you forget that, I mean, you're really deceiving yourself, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm in the deception. I'm believing I'm separate. I'm believing
Yeah.
all of this has no meaning and purpose. Like, I'm believing the deception.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not so much about people outside of me. For me, it's really about that inside of myself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think for me, really just listening to the sacred medicine, to the Alan, trusting that it is a message. It's not just like, I had this wacky dream, it's like, it's really stopping to listen and see what the signs say. I mean, exactly what we do here in the segment, because sometimes I forget that, because I think in metaphysics, it's that delicate balance of, we don't want to give everything meaning, and yet everything has meaning, but we don't want to, we don't want to go woo-woo overboard. So yeah, so just listening and trusting and finding the balance in that. And I just want to say, for the record, I just, many of my girlfriends after marriage and kids and things like that are like, why didn't you, I know this, how come you didn't tell me, what, blah, blah, blah. I want to share with you that your kids are going through something and sleeping in your room. But our 15-year-old was in our room last night because it's like, can I just sleep in here with you guys, please? Can I just sleep in here? So there's a chance that it never ends,
I know. I actually, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think the modified version is, when kids move back into the house, they just don't necessarily want to be in your room, but they don't want to separate. So what were you going to say?
No, I called my mom because I was like, Mom, what, what is this? And she was like, you did that. And she's like, and then she's, gave me more information. Me and your dad never got to have sex because of you,
It's all your fault.
It's all my fault because I was always getting in their bed, and then if I couldn't get in the bed with them, then she said, you got in the bed with your brother. She was like, you like to co-sleep. And now as an adult, I hate co-sleeping, right? It's like I flipped upside down. Like, I hate co-sleeping. So anyways.
That's funny. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will talk about something else. So get something to drink, relax for a minute, but don't go away. Stay right here on New Thought Media Network, and we'll see you in a minute.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment. inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment, and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you wanna know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
We are back.
Yes,
We're
we
back.
are. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So if you're just joining us, we are Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Rice Olmstead.
Dr. Natasha Wilson here in Australia, early in the morning.
Early in the morning for her, later in the afternoon for me. It's 3:30 here where I am. Sun is shining bright.
On Thursday, right?
Yes. And
Yes,
it's
it's
Friday
Friday.
morning. Yeah.
Yes.
How's the weather there?
It's getting hot now. We're about to move into summer, and we've been getting little taste of summer coming. Not so much in the early morning like now, but in the next few hours, like I'll be roasting in here. I'll have the air conditioner on.
Wow.
Yeah. Although I do want to ask this. Like, I don't know. I'm going through. I think I'm starting to go through the change. Like really, because last night, and not just because I was like super uncomfortable because I had all the kids and the dog were in the bed, but I literally had the air conditioner on one side of the room and the heater on the other side, because my body temperature just won't regulate. Like I'm just like, is that a sign? Am I still in a spiritual crisis? Like, what is that?
You know, I wish I could answer for you. My body has never been regular. It doesn't, I haven't gone through all the changes that people go through. I didn't go through all the feelings with becoming a woman. I didn't have these cramps and those cramps. And and all those things. So I can't really say. I know that if you asked my husband, which one could do because he is graciously accepted being our producer today, since our beloved Michael Mangus is off on a well-deserved trip to conferences. But if you asked him, he thinks I'm out of my mind. But that's because my body doesn't match up to his body. And men and women are totally different anyway. So he's warm at night, and I've got like covers on, and even though the fan's on, I've got the covers over me, and I'm, all bundled up. And in the morning he's freezing and the covers are off because I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot. So I don't know. And then he likes to say, well, what do you mean you're hot? It's only 68 in here or whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with the temperature. I like, do you feel like that though? It doesn't matter. If I'm cold and it's 80 out, well, like you said, you have the heat on one side and the cold on one. It's like, doesn't, it's not the numbers. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not logical. It's not a
No,
logical thing. It's a physiological thing that happens, and it can't be described by numbers, at least for
no,
me.
I don't think so. And I mean, maybe it can be measured, like measured. If you were to measure your hormone levels in your blood or something, I don't know. All I know is my husband doesn't even sleep in the same bed with me because I can't manage. I just like this is why whatever my children are going through, it is really like grating on my nerves right now because I don't like sleeping with people, let alone the body temperature thing. I mean, whatever. Like I am perimenopausal. I do know that, but it is just like this temperature thing is just crazy to me.
I know, and it's always great when you throw an animal in the middle of the bed along with it.
Unbelievable. And it's not like she's not a little dog. She's a huge dog. A huge dog.
Well, our dog is relatively little. I mean, it's not a Chihuahua little, but it's a little bit bigger than a corgi kind of little. And but that doesn't matter because when he lays on the bed and he's anchoring the sheets, I'm like, would you move? I need my sheet, and there's no moving,
No.
So yeah, that's an interesting question. So yeah,
Mm.
changes.
Huh?
Changes.
Yeah, changes. Yeah, the one constant, huh? Is change.
Right.
Yep. So I have these. You want me to pull one?
Well, I didn't see the comment that just went up. What was
Oh,
that?
I didn't see it either.
Generally, the air is coolest early in the morning. Oh, spoken like my husband.
Nice.
Generally.
Science. Science.
Yeah. Science of body. Okay. All right. So wait, you wanted to pull another card? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was just thinking, should we? I mean, you have really cool decks over there. I have this, I have this like cosmic dancer deck. It's the only one I have here.
Well, what did you say you wanted to talk about earlier?
I've already talked about it.
What was it though? Give me the topic.
No, I was talking about this like mental health crisis and spiritual crisis. But even it's not even mental. I think most health issues, whatever kind of health, mental health, medical health, physical health, whatever, I think is always somehow connected to what's going on with one's spiritual life.
Yeah.
That's
I
all.
think so too. I think that a part of the challenge, I mean, I guess there's all different ways to explain it, but part of the challenge comes when, if you are having a mental health crisis or any kind of breakdown, there's a challenge when you have to go to a place of going, oh, my faith is missing from the equation, or, I'm not standing in my power. I mean, because it's hard to know when you're having a breakdown, right? I mean, it's hard to know the things that we need to know in order to anchor and get back
Mm,
get back in the saddle,
mm.
so to speak.
Well, I'll just speak in the first person. Yeah, I don't like it is this whatever this is that I feel like I'm still coming through in a lot of ways. Has look, I am not I don't ascribe to any particular like religious tradition. So I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Muslim, I'm not a Buddhist, I'm none of those things. Um but like it is deep for me when I'm like pulling out a Bible. Like that's deep. Like and I'm like just flipping to the Psalms and I'm reading the Psalms and I'm like just remembering the metaphysical meaning of like particular Psalms. And like for me that was like that was a sign.
Right.
That was a sign. Um yeah. Yeah. I think like grief and bereavement, it can really take us in places that it can take it has taken me to a place. I'm trying to get out of this like you and third
Yeah.
person stuff, really use I statements. Yeah, it is really taking me face to face with a lot of old beliefs that I think I also had. What I'm realizing, or what I've come to realize, was that like I had a lot of comfort in my old beliefs. Like when
Right.
I thought of God as this anthropomorphic being somewhere out there outside of me, I there was comfort in that for me, is what I realized. And I don't feel that or think that or experience God that way at all anymore. And I found like I was going through like the grief that I was going through in terms of like the actual loss or like the transition. You know, I think that's part of coming through this spiritual crisis, as I call it, is coming back to a remembering that like these family members have gone through a transition that we will all transition through. And I was craving my old version of God. And I was grieving that as well as with the other grief.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, and that makes perfect sense, right? I mean, as you were saying that, I was thinking, isn't it interesting, like, really, that the concept of God or spirit or the universe or Buddha or Allah or whatever it is you believe, the concept of the divine presence, it grows with us. Like
Mm,
my version of it, my 7, 8, 9-year-old version of it, when I was going to Catholic church with my mom, with my grandmother, and listening to them tell me about sin and things. And my version of it now, it's a whole different melding that just kind of, grows with us, I think, if that
mm.
makes any sense.
It does make sense. And I think what I have been like discovering in this current iteration of my particular spiritual journey is that I was missing that old version of God. I think there was something about that old version that abdicated me of responsibility in some ways. And I think I missed that. And yeah.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I totally hear you. And I mean, and I think that's where me thinking that it grows with us, like, because I think about, and this isn't, I mean, it's all God, but it's not directly God related. But I think about, like, when I first started taking classes and getting more into the teachings, spiritual teachings. Like, I remember one of the first things that happened was, um, certain people in my life, I was like, yeah, I love you, and I can't listen to you anymore, because I
Mm.
couldn't necessarily listen to their story. And I remember I used to go to a friend of mine who was a bartender. We'd go and sit at the bar, and we'd watch Jerry Springer, and we'd laugh and talk about that. And I was
God.
like, you know what? I can't be about peace and love and sit in this vibration of Jerry Springer. I mean, but it was a
Mhm.
big, you know what I mean? And as each of those steps, there was also a letting go of things that I'd done or people that I'd been with, or things that were familiar, and like having to kind of let that go. And I,
Mm.
and what it makes me think of now is I really feel like here in the States during this election time, there's a lot of angst and energy, and I don't feel it like 8 years ago. I don't
Mm.
feel it like that. But I know other people do. I know that
Mm.
people are like, okay, I want to be with you the night of the election, because if we need to make a plan to move out of the country, I want to da da da, da," which is so interesting, because I remember hearing people saying that about when Barack Obama was about to get elected. I remember hearing people in restaurants talking about, oh, I'm gonna have to leave the country, and I was like, but what I say all that to say, what I realize right now is I feel like where I am anchored in God or in my spiritual journey, I'm not feeling that angst or that thing,
Mm.
and somebody said the other day, well, either way, no matter what happens that night, it's going to be a historical night. And that is true. And I was like, that's pretty much where I stand on that, is
Mm.
just being in, it's going to be historical. We're going to either have our first woman president or our first convicted convict president, however that plays out, one way or another, it's going to be noteworthy. But I feel my faith in God as opposed to the fear of what if, I'm not trying to be political one way or another. Whoever you're voting for, just be informed and vote. And, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, but I feel like that's the difference in God, me growing with God.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Does that make sense?
That part. You
Okay,
growing in God, that
I know
part.
you have your own opinions. Okay, here, good. All right, folks, here comes an opinion, and it is a fine opinion, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's the opinion of the station or anyone else. Hit it.
Oh no, I don't have an opinion. I'm not there. I'm not there.
You do have an opinion, girlfriend. I've never known you not to have an opinion.
I mean, everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion, like, of course. But yeah, no. I guess what I'll say is that I am with you in that sense of, yeah, my faith is in the divine. Like, and when I said, like, part of what helped me start the process of coming back home to myself spiritually is remembering that I'm in the heart and mind of God, and so is everyone else and everything else. And that also means every process, including every political process.
Yeah.
And I think whatever this political process that the United States is going through, and it will impact everyone in the world, doesn't matter, I'm all the way here in Australia, it will impact the world. Then it's a process that we must require for whatever phase of our evolution as a species and as a spiritual, like, whatever. Like, I just, like, you know, we live on this conscious living planet Earth, and she's alive, and she's letting us know she's alive, and we are in this divine process with her, no matter how much we think we are separate. So whatever happens around the election, like, and you know, politics again is about, it's about power, it's about external power in particular. And I think we are all in some sort of ways being asked to come home to authentic power. And so which means being in alignment with our soul's intention. So it's not that, like, I'm politically, I'm I guess progressive politically. So I honestly, no one actually that's in this election represents my actual politics. But I'm still an American citizen, and I am voting for the person who is at least as close to my politics and interests as possible. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not, I feel like I'm not really pulled around the politics right now. And it could be, like I said, I'm not there. And I think part of the grief that I was talking about earlier for myself, part of what I was grieving is that I just have no desire to go home to the United States. That was very was a deep part of this grieving and bereavement process, that I realized, like, having this sense that there's nothing really there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And even what I thought was there for me was something that in some ways, like, I think I made up. So yeah, I feel a bit, I guess this is maybe what the Buddhists call non-attachment. Like, I don't feel attached to the outcome, even though I know the outcome will have ramifications for the whole world. I'm just not attached.
Well, I think that's what's interesting to me is I could say that I feel non-attached as well.
Mm.
Yes, I have my preference, and yes, I'm here in the United States, and yeah, I definitely have my opinions, and I feel unattached. And I was thinking about this the other day because I was like, all right, well, if I really believe that it's always happening for my good, again, even though I know during Trump's last term, people are like, well, we need to learn these things, and he's here to teach us, and blah, 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 and part of me was like, okay, I would really like for the lesson to be over. And if it's not, I trust that it's not, and that there's more to learn that way.
Mm.
There's the part of me, not so much right anymore, but there's the part of me like, yeah, when I get riled up, I get riled up about the whole political thing and how is it possible, and January 6th, and can't we see, and blah, blah, blah. And there's the other part of me that goes, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the only thing I'm sure of is that I don't know.
Mm. Yeah.
And so I'm not saying it doesn't mean I don't work towards the things I want or support the people I want, or, I mean, but my prayers are not, my prayers don't tend, I mean, not that there haven't been, but my prayers don't tend to be like, beseeching, oh, please let this person win or this person lose. I find myself praying for peace and for kindness
Mm.
and for equity, and really for somebody that can support the whole,
Mm.
whatever that looks like.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you pulled the owl, because I think what is happening politically is representing, I think the owl medicine is very, very apropos for what we're going through. I think we are facing like life, like this is what life looks like when we deny, like, truth. in
Right.
fact, and then this is what life looks like, because denial is just another form of like lying. It's a type of lying.
Right.
And I really feel like there is still a lot that the world has to come to terms with if we are, and when I say the world, I mean humanity. Like if we really want to live through peace, live out peace, live in peace, we have to get honest. And there's just too many things we're still not even willing to like talk about. That so for me, it doesn't really, like, that's why I said I feel non-attached, because I feel that collectively there is still a deep resistance to looking within. I still feel like there's a deep resistance to being with that the dark night of the soul. I think there is still a deep resistance to acknowledging our pain, and like our collective pain, but also like our collective joy. I just feel like there's just, I just know it really does not matter who, okay, maybe I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. Elections have consequences. I do believe that, like in the immediate material world, they definitely have consequences. But I feel our medicine, which is about honesty, which is about deception. I remember when I was interviewing this very well-known social justice advocate who has now passed away in Boston. I remember I was interviewing him, and he said, "Look, the West is addicted to denial. And as long as we're addicted to denial, we'll have the same outcomes as anyone struggling with addictions that never get to the truth of their pain." And I feel like I remember he said that to me, and my mind was like, that's it. I was like, that's it. And this is why I feel non-attached. And maybe that's why I really do like Marianne Williamson, because she is one of those candidates that's willing to talk about those ghosts that we really need to grapple with as a humanity, as a species. Those ghosts that have kept us really divided and separated. Those, that racism and homophobia and sexism, those things that we still tiptoe around.
Yeah, and all of the inequities that have been done from one group to another, and it's like America has this image of being land of the free and blah blah blah, and everybody puts their own spin on that. Not that it's not. I mean, there's a level at which I realize a lot of privileges and a lot of great things about the country, and a lot of things that aren't, and a lot of things that have been written in history, with the bias, which they always are. But it feels like that was part of some of the stuff, beginning to see with taking down statues and taking away holidays and all those things. It's an interesting journey.
Look, I think we can make changes to the external world, but if our heart, if the heart, like if we're not, like if our consciousness isn't shifting.
Yeah.
And I think it is for many. I think so many of us are waking up. I think those of us who do go through these quote unquote spiritual crises, I think this is a part of the waking up process of humanity. I do. Yeah. I just won't, and to take our medicine, deceive myself into the belief that the path to peace and equity and love and kindness, like, is going to be an external political process. And when I say external, again, I'm talking about power, external power, as opposed to authentic power, which is like when we move and make choices based on what we feel is the purpose and the call of our soul, not from fear. When we make choices from fear, that's external power. So
Right.
and we just see where that's gotten us. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not interested in being in that dance anymore. And I think that is what, again, what I called my most recent spiritual crisis was about. So
Well, and I think that's, on the one hand, I think that's what this show is about, you know, and which is why we acknowledge the metaphysical, the spiritual in everything, even in the dark night of
mm,
the soul. And in
especially in
that,
the dark night of the soul.
yeah, yeah, there's that. And but also, just what you're saying is absolutely true. And I also want to acknowledge where we are, because I think generally when we're standing in a place of what we want to see and we don't see it, we think it's not happening. But if
Mm,
we take this story back 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we couldn't have had this show. We
mm,
couldn't have had this place to just air our thoughts and sit here and talk about whatever we want. We couldn't have, there's many things that couldn't happen. You couldn't have, it's like even during when Marianne Williamson ran for the first election, I remember her saying somewhere along the line, yeah, they weren't gonna uh, elect a politician that was talking about love, and she couldn't say, she said love, and next thing you knew, she showed up on Saturday Night Live with her crystals and, in a skit and all these things, which isn't her. And, on the next thing we saw in the next election was every politician talking about love from the podium, talking
mm.
about love for their fellow man. All of a sudden, so she especially obviously breaks down boundaries everywhere she goes, even though it may not look like being elected as the president of the United States or whatever. But I think as long as we continually do this work and stand in this knowingness and go through these hard times where we can say, yeah, I don't need to do this anymore. I'm trusting this. I'm moving in this direction. I just think that so much has been done and so much that is being done that we may never see the fruits of our labor, but
Yeah.
I have to believe it's happening.
No, I
And that,
mean, I think that there's evidence. I like, at the end of the day, I like evidence. And I think that there's tons of evidence. But I think in order to really experience that evidence, sometimes we have to disconnect from the very thing that makes what we're doing possible right now. I think we actually have to disconnect from certain things to see the reality, like to see, look, yes, everything that is being hyped up in the media sphere, okay, fine. And what is also true is, like, I have these precious, beautiful human beings that are my daughters that talk about things that wouldn't have been possible. I would have never been able to be a mother to these children, right?
right.
Simply because we have different color skin, right? Like, there's so much beauty that is happening. And I think what we have to do is start to turn, like, instead of looking out there externally, start to turn within into our own lives, into our own hearts, and see the evidence that
Yeah.
change is happening. Beautiful things are occurring. Right
Yes.
now, there is a new flower literally blossoming right there. Life is still happening. But if we're just looking just externally into this curated media sphere or whatever, I think we miss it.
Right. And so that's our charge to you for the week. I think that speaks to our medicine also because it's not only the darkness of the night, it's the darkness when we choose just not to see and look outside and see the blossom in front of us. So we challenge you all to stand in that place of living with the owl medicine this week and uncovering what's yours to uncover.
That's right. That's right. And
And we
remembering
will,
that love and beauty are always present,
they
always,
are.
really somewhere, always, always, never feel. Oh no, it always.
So take it out and share it in the world, and we will see you next week right
Peace and
here
blessings.
on Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Peace and blessings. Mwah. Go.